So our next guest is also in Colorado. Masami Covey. Masami is a health intuitive, functional nutritional therapist, and internationally recognized speaker. She reveals the root causes of imbalance using intuitive insights, whole person approach, and laser pointed guidance. She translates our subtle body language and provides practical daily tools, nutrient recommendations, breath work, somatic movements, and more. Masami was born and raised in Japan in a bicultural family, and she draws extensively from her blend of East meets West culture, language, energy medicine, as well as years of professional training and experience in functional nutritional therapy, yoga therapy, positive neuroplasticity, Ayurveda, and applied linguistics. Masami holds a Master's of Science in International Business. She's a faculty member of the Shift Network and a frequent speaker on health and energy summits, podcasts, and programs. And I'm so glad that she chose to be a part of this one. Masami, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for your introduction and the invitation to be here today.
Oh, you're so welcome. So I love your title. Your history is in your fascia.
Yes. So shall we get started?
I think you should get started.
Well, welcome everyone. I just wanted to welcome all. And this has been fascinating. I've been just kind of checking in here and there to do some movements with all of you. So it's been fun. Thank you. And today's topic is, I guess, near and dear to my own heart and my body and my journey for my injuries and all kinds of things that I've experienced in my life. So, but today I wanted to take a little bit deeper journey, and visualization is very important for me to understand this body that is at times very mysterious. And at times it's right in your face or right at the point that you have to address. But I love to bring in a little bit more flow back into our lives. So let's start with sharing my screen. So I hope I can share my screen.
Yeah, Katie will make that happen.
Okay. So let me see if I could do this myself too. Well, let me do this and then I will click. So I think it'll work. And let me know, are you seeing this fascial stuff, fibrous things?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. So let's start with this fascia. And maybe some of you have heard of the word fascia. And fascia is something that's been so misunderstood forever. And I learned about fascia in 2006 and into 2007 because of my own physical pain that I was going through, but also I was working with a lot of clients in Denver with my office with wheelchair bound clients and also patients that have gone through multiple surgeries, cancer, breast cancer surgeries as well. So I was working with a lot of their scar tissues, and I was kind of bumping into difficulties, how to help them release them, working with their breath work. And I was doing their maybe manually changing their shapes, doing yoga poses. I was doing all kinds of things. But when I encountered this thing called fascia, this magical fibrous things, it changed my life. But so when you look at it, it's this fibrous things, but it's absolutely misunderstood. And it's seen as like almost like a forgotten tissue. It's a part of we look at it as like a packaging of your body. You know, think of like those packaging peanuts. That's kind of how we saw the fibrous thing, this fascia, to be. It was just kind of wrapped around your body. And most basically scientists, biologists, physiologists, they did not think much of it. But when I dove deeper, and then after years of learning about this, I started to understand not just learning through the books, but technically learning through people's bodies, my clients' bodies, that this is holding everything and it's surrounding everything that is inside you. And it's communicating not just what's inside you, but it's outside of you as well. So this sheath of who you are represents, if those of you that know Ayurveda or yogic philosophy of the 5 sheaths or koshas. You have layers of who you are, right? You have intelligent being, you have a physical being, you have a mental being, spiritual being. Those are all wrapped and protected, and I would say communicating through all that in this thing called fascia. And so I want to take this to a different kind of an image. So let me see if I'm doing this right. Okay. So I look at fascia as kind of, you see the book at the bottom of this picture. It holds all your history, all your ancestral history, and it carries the records of your ancestral history as well, because it's like fibrous things, but think of it as old-fashioned how people used to make papers. They would use fibers from the trees or different things that they would use to create papers. So your fascia is holding all your information, and I'm talking not just your lifetime, but the so many hundreds of generations before you. And you may not know your ancestors, but please don't get too caught up in it, because if you go back far enough, you are all connected. We're all connected at the pretty much a singular point. We all come from very much the same soil. And I think of our ancestors as our earth, all different elements as well. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And the fascia is the keeper of your unhealed family's legacy. And but it can help you to transform your traumas as well as your ancestral legacies as well, karmic looping as well, maybe certain things that if you believe in past lives and things like that, your fascia can hold that too. But fascia is the way that you can transform some of these imprints. It's like a manuscript. I think of it as like a manuscript that you are writing in your life, because fascia shows up as this gel-like form 2 weeks into you coming into this world as this physical being. And the integrated presence of the past and the present it's just all wrapped in this fascia. So remember that as you sit here in this moment called now, the fascia is holding your past as well as your future potential, but it holds you right in this present moment. And it's seen as nowadays as the largest organ, although medical world hasn't decided to call fascia as this largest organ. But I'm treating fascia as if I'm working with somebody's lungs or their maybe liver or their digestive issues through the colon. So I'm seeing fascia as part of this organ, because fascia wraps everything from nervous systems, your bones, your muscles. It marbles through your muscles, and it's in and out of all your organs as well, all your systems. So your lymphatic system also. And, when we think of nervous system, and we talk a lot about how to work with our nervous system, fight, flight, freeze mode, well, we really need to be addressing this largest organ called fascia. And it's because it's a communication process. The fascia communicates faster than the nervous system. So a lot of people are doing vagus nerve work. But if you don't address the fascia, we're kind of missing out on how to heal who we are, because the vagus nerve is actually wrapped in this fascia also. It communicates faster than that. And to me, fascia hugs you and holds you and protects you and keeps you in this form that you are right now. And so I want to go to the next slide, because this is actually a picture of fascia that is looking at it microscopically and closely. So the early picture that I showed you, the very first one, it's like the fibrous, dried up fiber things. People used to understand fascia based on cadavers. So they weren't looking at the living matrix of fascia. Nowadays, we can actually look at the living matrix. And what I mean by that is the fascia is a network of water highways. And I'm going to repeat that again. So it's an intricate network of water highways. So it's not this dried up fiber, but it's actually communicating this gel-like water all throughout your body. So I just want you to kind of pause and think about that you are wrapped, everything is wrapped, everything is communicating at the speed of light through this network, this highway of water. And this is exactly who you are. And if that is getting understood by your mind, then you can sink into your heart and say, wow, does this mean that I am this gel-like, almost like a water being? And the answer is exactly that. That is who you are. So fascia system starts about, like I said, 2 weeks into your embryo development. So as this fibrous gel, so it's collecting your mother's traumas, collecting your mother's history. It's collecting a lot of maternal side of the information. I'm not saying that the father side doesn't have much to do with it, but the maternal side has a tremendous amount of influence on this fibrous gel. And it carries the electrical signals and photons and the light and the sounds, and all the memories are being communicated through this vast network of this fibrous gel. And it connects with your DNA and actually communicates your DNA to the rest of who you are. So we've been paying so much attention to your DNA, what you're given, your genes, but the fact is, it's not really about changing your DNA or upgrading your DNA, or ascension process is about shifting your DNA. I don't believe that, because I already know that the DNA that I'm given are the DNAs that I want to work with for the rest of my life. But I want to work with my fibrous gel, this fiber communication network. And if you can get in touch with this network, it can begin to shift your history and then your past history. And by doing so, you yourself are going to become the future of the ancestors. You are the ancestors that you're going to become at some point in the future. You can change the course of the future. And I have a grand vision that once we can get into this fibrous gel of this network and we can begin to work on ourselves, I believe we can change the future as collective as well. And this fibrous network communicates your intuition. It is what holds your aura. This is what carries the vibrational fields of you. And it expands way out, more than 6 feet out, and even more. So sometimes you are communicating not just with the intuition when you have those synchronicities or aha moments. You may be connecting with the other person's fibrous gel network with one another. So to me, it gives me so much joy to talk about this. And then just to kind of give you a sense of what the gel-like liquid is like, it's called the 4th stage of water. And it's often talked in the structural water world, but this is not just kind of a simple drinking water or the water that comes out of the faucet. It has more of a gel-like consistency, just like an aloe vera plant. If you cut into it, has that gel-like. That is what's moving through slowly but surely through the network of who you are. And I just want to give you a couple of more images so that you can say, oh, that's what's inside me. We're not just made out of different separate parts of who we are, but it's a network of who we are, connected and communicating through this water-like molecules that are like gel communicating with one another. And I love this picture because this gives you an idea that the fascia transmits forces to other surrounding layers of fascia, causing a chain reaction that spreads to structures throughout the body. So this is a picture of the spider web, and maybe some of you recognize that. Oh, I know that. Maybe some of you have taken your photos walking by morning dew or early morning with the moisture in the air. But it's much like pulling on one corner strand of a spider web, and that's affecting the entire network of that spider web. That's exactly what's happening to your body. And this image is just to kind of show you, this is the picture that's taken or the video that's taken from the bottom of the water. But this is kind of what's happening inside you. I just want you to imagine this is who you are. So you are like almost like a school of fish swimming inside you that is carrying your ancestral history, your history, what you have picked up, energetic fields that you've been exposed to, all your belief system, patterns, habitual things, your narratives, that's all swimming together in this water like network that is who you are. So I want you to just pause for a moment and realize that, wow, I am this water. It's like you're in the water, you're of the water, you are the water, you are swimming in it. All of the above makes up who you are. And if that's true, and I know it to be true because I've touched thousands of bodies, I have literally worked on their network of this fascia, of this gel-like fascia, and I have had remarkable experiences and successes in helping people rediscover their potential and to heal their scar tissues and to go through their cancer processes. So, and to heal from that also. And I wanted to show you just a couple more images just so you can tap into these images. But when you're working on the fascia, which we're going to do shortly, it's like you're touching on this surface of water. And you can see the waves, the ripples, these circular waves, just like when you tugged at the spider web, it creates the messaging all across the spider web. It's kind of like that. So when you touch any parts of your body, and try that right now, just touch, just even gently, a part of your body. It's communicating throughout your entire being. And this is just to give you another image that the fascia remembers your patterns. Fascia also remembers your ancestors' patterns, their patterns of their physiology. The fascia remembers your habits, your narratives, your emotional traumas, and fascia acts as a bridge between layers of yourself and the layers of your different sheaths, which I briefly mentioned. In yoga, we call it the koshas. So it's the different layers of who you are, different areas of your chakras. It's all communicating. So it's got this rippling effect all throughout you. So I don't think I am too off to say that you are fish swimming inside this glorious water. Or maybe we are a community of like gorgeous jellyfish. I don't know if you've ever seen like a school of jellyfish swimming and floating. That's what all of us are, but that's what's inside us with trillions of cells just floating and moving and communicating and taking care of the patterns and navigating through this being. And so this next photo, and then I will stop sharing for a little bit so we can do some work together. This is the posture that I see most often currently in our modern society, but also I would say just in general, what ends up getting passed down through our ancestral patterning. So we're not just our bodies from the moment you were born, right? We inherit so much of who we are from our generations before us. And when you look at this posture, this just reminds me so much of both my Japanese grandmother, as well as I would say the pictures that I have seen of my American grandfather, and also my father, who was a very tall man from northern Iowa, and he was a 6'4" man. But by the time he passed away, his body was so curled up that he was no taller than I was, and I'm about 5'2". So it was a very sad thing for me to witness what ended up happening to his body. But this kind of a posture is often called, if you look at to the right of that picture, it says red light reflex. This was the term that was coined by, many of you may know, Thomas Hanna. And then it's also called the slumping reflex or withdrawal response. And it's a startled response. So if you get startled, and then afterwards to try to protect yourself, a lot of us will go into this. But imagine we're most likely doing this all the time now because we're looking at our cell phones. So imagine she's raising her arms up to her desk in front of her computer, watching Zoom calls all day long like we're doing, okay? Or getting a text and then looking at the text. And that way she's actually even folding her head forward. So what happens is that head is forward, jaw gets clenched and tight and shut. So this is when we're starting to experience TMJ, grinding of your teeth. Shoulders are forward, so you can't breathe very well. Chest starts to collapse, shallow breaths. Arms are rotated forward. So it's really not a receiving arm position either, because the palms are always down, nothing. So it's not even really giving or receiving posture. And elbows are bent, trunks are bent forward. So that's going to get into the digestive issues, constipation, all kinds of things that will lock you up. Knees are bent, your feet are kind of collapsing forward, all that. But we did this because we needed to protect ourselves. This was the response based on your fear, ancestors' fear, anxiety, prolonged distress, negativity, traumas. We really do this and did this because we were trying to survive and trying to protect a vulnerable part of who we are. But a lot of us are frozen in this. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a moment. And I want to go into some maybe release from the red light posture. It's called the red light because it's like stop and don't do anything. Okay. So right now, let's go ahead and all of us move your neck to side, perhaps. Maybe tilt one side to the other. You know, if you have neck pains or anything like that, don't overdo them. But we're just getting to know our range of motions. And take a look at your breaths. You know, how's your breathing? Are you breathing deeply into your belly? Are you feeling your rib cage open up? What's happening? Just notice for a moment. We're not fixing anything. We're just kind of getting to know things. And then I want you to imagine that finger that dipped into the surface of the water for a moment, and find your collarbones. And I've had tremendous injuries in my body. I've been in car accident. I've been diagnosed with MS, and I've had tons of scar tissues. So one side of my collarbone tends to go up. So I do this regularly just to kind of talk with my fascial body. But using your fingers, go right underneath the collarbones. And you don't need to be too precise, but think of it as like an upper pectoral muscle region. And you're going to just lightly touch that area, maybe circling it a little bit. You can even do both sides if you like. And then let's just choose one side that feels a little bit sore or tight, or maybe rigidity is there. And then allow your fingers to go straight in towards yourself, but don't push into it. Let the water, the gel-like being that you are, invite you in to that tissue. It will eventually invite you in, and you can go a little deeper, little at a time, little at a time. Good. And as you press that, slowly imagine that you're this wave of water that is moving out into your fingertips. So that's the rippling point, right? This is where the finger touched, and the ripples are starting to happen towards your arms. And if you feel like moving the elbows, extending the elbows, it's fine. Start to move the wrists, because the wrists get so tight when we're trying to protect ourselves. We're not giving. We tend to go into the fists mode. So release the fingers. Imagine that you're this like a sea vegetables. Okay. You're the seaweed moving. You're not doing anything spectacularly, like you have to really push it or hardcore massaging it. No, you're just letting the body invite your fingers in. Good. And then let's do the other side. And then let the fingers be invited in. I wish I have a little more time, because this takes a little bit of time. I don't like to rush through this.
Take your time. Take your time, Masami.
Okay, so I might go over about 5 minutes, then I'll allow it time.
You've got time. No problem.
Okay, good. Thank you. So allow yourself to become the sea vegetable. You may feel like you want to move your hips with it too. I love doing that, because I feel like I am this slow floating movements of this creature that is moving with the water. And you may want to extend your elbows, or wrists are moving through. Remember, be invited in. Don't force yourself in. Be invited in. Allow your body to wiggle. Keep the imagination of the water, the gel communication of the water continuously flowing in your imagination also. It's very important. And then slowly release for a moment and sit for a moment. And notice the breaths. This is all combined together. We'll be doing 4 movements. And by the end of it, I'm hoping that your gel-like water being changes shapes. So we're not holding on to our ancestral shapes. Okay. And next is the pinch and wiggle. Okay. Pinch and wiggle is really, really fun because when you have neck pain and things like that, instead of just massaging it, I would love for you to just pinch the skin a little. Sure, there'll be a little bit of a fat layers to it, the protective layers there. That's perfect. I want you to pinch it and then wiggle it a little bit and pull. Pinch it, wiggle a little bit and pull. You've all seen, some of the sharks or fish, their fins kind of open up like that. That's kind of what you're doing. Yeah. You could do both hands at the same time, one side at a time. It doesn't matter. You pinch just lightly, should not be painful. Be invited into your body. You don't force yourself into this. Pinch, pull, wiggle, or wiggle and pull. It doesn't matter. So you're just like, okay, I'm this fish-like thing. And moving it, opening it. And then also remember in the beginning, I showed you that picture of that lady and I said, your jaw is all tight. Our jaw will go into this clenching mode. So go ahead and pinch your cheeks, jaw areas, and just pinch, pull, twist a little. Pinch, pull, twist a little. And you may not be able to pinch that much because you're so locked up. That's all right. But that way, like, oh my goodness, my fascia has locked up in this area. That means you're not having a very nice communication with your jaw area, your speaking zone, your expressive zone. Okay. All right. So you do that part. Maybe you can even go to the back. I love doing the back side, wherever you feel like pinch, pull, wiggle, pinch, pull, wiggle. You can do wherever you want because remember, fascia is everywhere. You can even do it in your head. You could do it in your forehead, wherever. Okay. And just a little side note, if you have a sinus issues or sinus infections, you got stuffy nose, you can also pull between your eyes and pull that fascia. That really opens up the sinus cavities. Okay. Your intuition will start flowing like nobody's business because everybody knows that, not everybody knows, but the people that know me, that my intuitive level, it expands as I work on my fascia. Okay. So now we did the dip your fingers in, be invited, moving through. We did the pinching. Now we're going to do the pulling the bow or like arrow being pulled. Okay. So I want you to just kind of hug your body like this. Your fascia is hugging you. Okay. And the top hand, so this is going to work with your brain, right brain, left brain also. The top hand pulls away as you push your arrow or your bow forward. And when you do this, I want you to flex your hand and feel that fascia communicating through the nerves also, through the hands. We're very tight. All of us are very tight here. And then come back and put your other hand on the top. Ooh, I messed it up. So the other hand goes on the top. So brain gym here. Remember which hand goes on the top. The top hand pulls the bow and you push the arrow forward. Okay. Good. Come back in, cross your other one on the top again. Okay, you're switching. Remember which one. So brain is all involved in this. Pull the arrow and push. As you do this, begin to open your sternum. Think about your ancestors that could never open their chest up like this, walk in this posture that can get the sunlight into the chest. There's so many of us before us that struggled and come back in and switching the hands. And they couldn't open up their chest and be fully embracing who they are. So we inherited their shape. So open it up. Good. then come back in and pause for a moment. You can put them all at once. You start with the wiggling and moving, getting invited in. You do the pinching. Okay. Then you pull the bow. You pull the bow. And when you cross, you're working with the right brain and left brain. And this is also a symbol of figure eight. Figure eight's a beautiful way to get your whole fascia, get involved in it. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to go into, which I am going to share the screen again, is one of my favorite things to do. And many of you have seen this. Okay. If you followed my work, you know what this is. Now, the fourth stage of this movement is to become a cat or a dog. It's called the pendiculation. Okay. So what I want you to do is just for a moment, without creating all kinds of like anxiety, just think about several hundred years ago where people were struggling so much. They were really trying to survive their lives. They became really curled up like in a shell. So put yourself in the shell first. Okay. Make fists, tighten your toes, tighten your glutes, tighten your face. Okay. Then you are going to begin to open up like cats wake up first thing in the morning and goes pendiculation. So start to push and gradually open. Do it very slowly because this is not a stretch. Do it super slowly. Engage with this movement. Good. And I'm going to stop sharing so you could see me, but keep going with it. So you go push your aura space and you can see me like I'm pushing my gel-like form out. Okay, do it slowly. You're opening up your aura space in the front, in the back. Good. And it helps to start to curl up first. Know that this is where you have come into with your traumas. And then open that door, open the windows, open the curtains, and become the cats, dogs, all the animals that they know how to do the pendiculations. Let's do that a couple more minutes. And you may start to yawn. Let's make yourself yawn here. Oh, and make some sounds. And then do all the vowel sounds if you want. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh, ah. Good. Move it through. Make your space bigger. Take space, everyone. Don't be so small. Don't get locked into your shape. Open up your shape. Become your fullest shape now. Fullest shape. Yeah. Okay. Now let's come back in. Just sitting or lying down or wherever you are standing. Let's close our eyes. Just focus in on the fluids moving through. Oh, sure, they are moving through. You can feel it. The network, the fibrous network of this gel-like communication and the waves of the water, they're all livened. They have been animated. Feel that. And notice your breaths. How are you breathing? Has it changed a little? And gently remember you're a gel-like being. So slowly move your neck as if you're a gel-like being to one side. Your head moves to one side. And then to the other side. And tilting your head to one side. And to the other side. Notice the difference. I'm certainly noticing the difference. And how about you? And, last thing I want to say here is that if you don't understand that you are this gel-like, water-like being, and if you don't access the fascia, which is so easy to do, just move. Just move, touch, make sounds, because it vibrates sound-wise, and it's the electrically vibrating through it. You can access it so easily, but if you don't do that, and you just sit there and try to do practice of breathing techniques, your breath is never going to really change. It'll come straight back to your own patterns again, because you're shaped by your narratives, your history, what you've been telling yourself, and this blocked up, frozen shape. So work on the shape of things first. Then your organs will begin to open into that shape. So I think we've been doing the body work the other way around, backwards. We need to shape ourselves to take our space, to take this gel-like being that all of us are. Then your own organs, your lungs, will begin to sing, begin to open up, begin to look for the space to play with you. So that's what I have for you. And if there are any questions, if I have time, I'll be more than happy to, but I took up some time. So
No, you're fine. Please, Masami, if you we can open it up for questions, or people just, really share your takeaways from this beautiful, beautiful presentation. I'm just so in such a state of flow, and it just reminds me of how, work like yours, Masami, really gets us into a spacious place where then our real, I'll take it to my step, our soul, it's our true self. This is who we are. We're not the contraction. We are this flow. We are this fluid being. It was so beautiful how you showed the images, because it's so invisible to a lot of us, I think. And by you showing that watery, images was just beautiful.
oh, good. And guess what? Your cat joined us.
She always knows when to join.
She knows her pandiculation. So, and I think I always have to remember that I don't think they're cats that are going for psychotherapy, and
No,
I don't think dogs are searching for somebody to give them medications for their depressions and anxieties, right?
Right.
That is something that dogs and cats are constantly doing. Just so you know, the pandiculation is done by animals anywhere from 75 times to 100 times per day.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can even do 10 times of those movements, be wonderful. And I hope all of you are able to feel the difference between you shoving your fingers into the pain spot versus being invited into this gel-like form. It's very different. So if we can, that's the gentle way of approaching this body that carries so much history. There's no doubt that we all carry tremendous layers of traumas, but I think just doing the trauma work that is mentally oriented only isn't going to really shift us till we bring it to the embodiment. That's what you're doing this wonderful summit for. So I want to thank you for your invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. These presentations are blowing me away. They're so great. Oh, did you want to say hi? Okay. Yeah. So, and it also reminded me of when I was when you're saying about being invited in. It reminded me of when I was a massage therapist, because that's what I had to do. You had to let the person let you in, and then because of the work that I did, then that ancestral trauma would come up for sure.
Yes.
It had the invitation, I guess, of the person.
Yeah. And I think this is what marriage, the marriage between the feminine, the masculine, the lunar and the solar energies coming together, the heaven and earth, because we've done so much work that was a lot more forceful, a lot more like I will fix you kind of thing. And we never stopped up till about recently to say, what do you need, body? Will you invite me in so that I can take partnership with you? And that is a very feminine, lunar kind of energy. It's more Mother Earth kind of energy that invites you in. So remember, when you have pain and struggles and you're dealing with the body aches and all that, stop and ask, will you invite me in? Am I invited? And place your hands, and gradually that gel-like form will allow you to sink into you. And my work is to have you come home to who you are. Come home to this being. The body is always welcoming you, but you have to also ask your body for the invitation. Yeah. And then say, am I invited? Okay, can we do this together now? You're in partnership with this gel-like form. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll have a link to your website so that people can learn more about your work and about yourself. And I mean, I think you may have said your final last words, but do you have anything else you'd like to say?
And then, yeah, you can go to my website, and there is a free program that I put it there. Actually, the free program link is it's up there now. But I think, yeah, that's it. So I
Okay.
created a program about how to navigate this year in Chinese zodiacs. And then for those of you that don't know, I'm from Japan. So I use more of the Chinese-based lunar calendar. And so this is the year of rabbits, or rabbit. And so I am actually I'm teaching people how to navigate this. It's a very different energy than last year, which was the water tiger year, which was very fast moving, predatory, and then it was a very aggressive, very yang energy. This year is more of a yin energy. So I'm hoping that you can watch that and use it for you to work through the rest of this year together with me and with others that are all swimming together in this ocean of gel-like water, like jellyfish.
Yeah, I've never wanted to be a jellyfish before until today. So, now I understand the benefit. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Masami, for taking time to be with us today, and for your beautiful presentation and your beautiful soul and your wisdom. So I know everybody, it sounds like, looking at the chat, just had an incredible experience like I did. So thanks so much. We'll be in touch, and hopefully, since we live close together,
I look forward to it. Let's go get some jelly-like drinks together.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.